Can you make your own hojicha? In this episode, I roast some hojicha tea and compare it to the famous Kuki Hojicha from Mr. Issin. How close does this get to the real thing? Let's find out. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for future tea videos. We have hundreds of tea videos on all sorts of different subjects, but for this video, we're going to focus on hojicha. Let's get started. Okay, so what I have here is two different hojichas. The first is the Kuki Hojicha. So this is a stem tea, roasted stem tea from Mr. Issin in Takachiho. And then this is my best attempt at the Kuki Hojicha. So this is a tea I roasted myself. I actually took the Kukicha Sakamoto, so another stem tea from Mr. Sakamoto in Shibushi, and then I actually roasted it in a pan at home. So this is a method I've been doing for quite a while now, maybe 2 years, and I really like the results. And I want to see how this tea compares to the one made by a professional in Mr. Issin. So let's go ahead and take a look at the leaves. Maybe I'll pour both of them out so we can compare the two. So I have here probably more than 5 grams, but we can go a little bit heavier here. So here you're going to see there's more leaves. This one is almost all stems. There's some leaf particles in here, but mostly all stems. And then here there's a mixture of stems and leaves. And you'll notice that the little leaf particles, because I'm not a professional at this, there is an uneven roast to this. So this is something that a farmer would try to avoid if they're making a hojicha. You really want to have a nice even roast. Here you can see there's a little bit of inconsistency. There's this stem right here is a little bit green. These ones are yellow. There's some dark stems in here too. And then there's some leaves that are almost completely black. So now that we have that little comparison down, let's go ahead and prepare the teapots. So I'm going to be using the red Kyushu, black Kyushu. This is the one that we have at neoteas.com, and this is one I picked up on one of my trips to Japan. So let's go ahead and prepare. I spilled a little bit, but that's okay because I think I had a lot more leaves in that one. So kind of even it out a little bit. And for these tastings, I like to do rough estimations because I don't really like to measure a whole lot. At this point, I like to think that I can kind of eyeball it and get a pretty accurate measurement. So, I like to play around with a longer brewing time on these, so I might try close to 2 minutes this time and kind of see how that works out. I think that should be about the same amount of water. I've been getting pretty lucky recently with measuring out the perfect amount of water. So we'll see if I can continue that streak this time. So roasting your own hojicha at home is something that you can try out if you'd like. I would say my recommendation is keep a really close eye on it because what you're going to see is that you put the leaves in, you start roasting them, and nothing's going to happen for about 5 minutes or so. You're going to notice almost no change at all to the leaves, and then once it starts, it's going to be non-stop, and you're going to really want to keep a close eye on it because once it gets going, it's really going to happen fast, and you really don't want to over roast the leaves. So just keep a close eye on that on your stove. It can set off the smoke alarm. I've set off quite a few smoke alarms doing this. So just make sure your kitchen's well ventilated. You're not having it on too high of a heat, and you're turning it frequently so that leaves at the bottom don't burn. This is really important. So this is what I did. This is something I like to do from time to time. I normally roast a smaller quantity, but this time, I just wanted to make a lot, so I have it. Because I really like this tea, and it is kind of a pain to make. It doesn't take that long, but there is a little bit of prep time. I have to worry about roasting it carefully, keeping a close eye on it, and also making sure that I don't set off the smoke alarm. But now I have quite a few. Hopefully this is like around 100 grams or so, and this will get me through some tea sessions. It's also great as a cold brew, so something you can experiment with as well. So let's go ahead and pour this out. First we have the Kuki Hojicha. This is a tea I've been preparing a lot lately. A tea I'm not so familiar with. I don't normally prepare it, but recently, the past week or two, I've really been getting into it. I've been having it as a cold brew tea, hot brew in the morning, and it's just really nice to rediscover a tea like Hojicha because normally I'm like a gyokuro sencha drinker, and Hojicha is something I don't often get to try, but when I do, I'm kind of reminded how much I really like the tea. So big difference in color here. I think that the one that I made is a little bit of a lighter roast, whereas the Kuki Hojicha is really a dark roast. So you can see that the big difference in color here. This one's more like coffee, and this one is a lot lighter. Let's try the Kuki Hojicha. Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I've been having this tea a lot lately. It's a little bit sweeter than I remember. I remember it being kind of like this slightly, not harsh, but dark black coffee kind of flavor. So really a dark roast Hojicha. But there is some smoothness to it. It does have a little bit of sweetness to it, which I really like. I'm preparing this at 80 degrees Celsius, so this is a little bit of a harsher brew for me. But still, it kind of maintains this kind of sweetness in the finish. It's a little bit nutty, yeah, a little bit earthy, woody, I would say. And that usually comes from the stems. Let's try the Homeade. Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah, definitely a lot more sweetness here. And I mean, I think I know it's because I'm using the Kukicha Sakamoto, which is actually made from shaded tea plants. So you're going to get a lot higher of a theanine content here with this homemade tea, just because of the leaves that I'm using, not because of how I roasted it or anything. And this one is made from unshaded tea plants and almost all stems. So this one's going to have a lot more theanine in it. This one's going to have a lot less because it's unshaded stems. So you really get this sweet caramel. I'm almost getting like, and maybe I'm biased because I roasted this tea myself, but it does kind of taste like roasted pumpkin seeds. Like when I was a kid, we would roast pumpkin seeds and just have them as a snack. And this is kind of, the flavor and aroma kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I mean, it's almost unrecognizable from the actual Kukicha Sakamoto. The roasting process really alters the flavor. But still, it does have that sweetness to it. So that does transfer. But kind of these floral notes are definitely lost. This one I'm getting, yeah, I'm getting more of this like campfire. I know it's not really a flavor, but it just kind of reminds you of like a warm campfire on like a fall day. Much more minerality to this tea. And that's likely coming from the stems because there's more stems in here. You get more of that minerality. Here there's more caramel, a little bit of this chocolate, but not quite there. So both these teas are really good. This one obviously takes more time. If you want to let the professional make it for you, go for the Kuki Hojicha. This one's a little bit darker, very good as a cold brew, very good as a hot brew. However you make it, it's a really good tea. So this you can find at neoteas.com, the Kuki Hojicha. If you want to make your own, I would recommend using either the Kukicha Sakamoto or the Kukicha Osada is also one of my favorites. So I find that stem teas roast particularly well, and they're quite easy. So definitely something you should try out for yourself. Prepare your own tea and prepare a professional Hojicha, and just compare the two to see which one you like more. Because sometimes I actually like the freshly roasted more. But if you're looking for something kind of really dark, It really takes kind of a professional process to get that dark roast without overdoing it. So definitely something to look out for. So thank you all so much for watching this far in the video. If you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for future tea videos. It would really help us out. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.